Welcome to Conversations with a Dog Trainer. This is a side section of my video channel where rather than demonstrate dog training and talk about dog training techniques, I talk more about dog behavior, questions that I get from people about their dog's behavior, and helping people understand why dogs do the things they do and better understand a dog's mind. So today, there's a section that I was going to make for a video that I just uploaded about a pit bull named Odin who had a serious OCD with light and shadow chasing. Rather than include it in that video, I thought it would be useful to make a separate video where I can talk about this with you folks and keep it separate from the video so that maybe people who aren't necessarily interested in watching a video on a shadow and light chasing dog can still get a chance to understand what self-reinforcing behavior is, how it works, and how it affects us with our dogs. So in simplest terms, what self-reinforcing behavior is a behavior that requires no outside influence to get the dog to do it. It's something that comes from within. It's something that the dog says, I enjoy this. I don't need anyone's help to enjoy this. I'm going to do this. So there's a comedian, I don't know that he's with us anymore. His name's Jackie Mason. I used to listen to him all the time as a kid. And he had this joke, and I'm paraphrasing now, but he had a joke that said, you have to develop a taste for caviar because everyone tells you it's delicious, and it's really just because it's expensive and you're perceived as high class if you like caviar. So you eat it and it tastes awful, but you keep eating it because you're trying to force yourself to like it and you have to acquire a taste. And then to contrast it, he says, no one ever had to develop a taste for a potato chip. You take, or a piece of chocolate maybe. You take a bite, boom, one shot, it excites your brain, right? The fat, the salt, the sugar in the chocolate, and automatically you say, I want more. That's self-reinforcing. No one has to tell you, hey, keep eating chips. You'll like them one day. You taste the chip, you like a chip. So self-reinforcing for a dog is the dog eats the chip, the dog likes the chip. So now let's look at some examples of self-reinforcing behavior. So I can take my own dog as an example, Hooligan. Hooligan loves rough play and he loves to run. I don't have to prod him. I don't have to encourage him. And in fact, he loves tug of war. Okay. So if I take the tug toy, if he has the toy in his mouth, he's going to try and put it in my hand because he wants the game of tug. If I let go, he doesn't run away with the toy. He brings it back. What is the dog telling us? I love tug of war. It's not so much the toy, and he loves chewing on toys by himself. But if we can play tug, he wants to play tug. So the act of tug is self-reinforcing. Same thing with running. Same thing with playing, and he likes that kind of bump and grind play where if he's running, he'll body check me, and I like that. It's fun, so we do it. You can look at your own dog and take any number of things your dog does in a day and understand now how they are self-reinforcing. It feels good, I want to do it again. Eating, most basic example. My dog eats, and as soon as he's done eating, his brain can't slow down, it can't turn off. It's like me with a bag of chocolate almonds from Costco. I'm very dangerous with one of those bags. I live 10 minutes away from Costco. If I buy the bag and I'm driving home, guaranteed half the bag is gone before I get home. I can't eat one, I can't eat two. It's going to be a handful, and then another handful, and another handful. And my wife can take three and go, that's it, I'm done. And I don't understand how her brain works that way, because mine, once it gets that little hit, it wants more. So now you can take this self-reinforcing thing and look at how it applies to other things. You have a dog who marks. And there is a lot of instinct in that. There's a lot of gratification in that. And the dog marks and marks and marks. And owners talk about this all the time. I don't understand what's so important to him that he has to pee on every single thing. It's self-reinforcing. You'll never understand. If you don't get it, you'll never get it. To the dog, it's valuable. You never once had to tell him, hey, Mortimer, pee on this, pee on that. Oh, buddy, you missed that hydrant. If he likes marking, he's going to mark. If your dog likes fetch, and I mean, if it's really something hardwired into your dog, then you're going to see how it's self-reinforcing. And then you'll see videos of dogs that don't have anyone to play fetch with, and they'll play fetch all by themselves. They drop the toy and it bounces, and they go and get it, and they entertain themselves. So now we get into the danger section of self-reinforcing behaviors. Now we get into the dangerous parts of self-reinforcing behaviors. The dog shows aggression because it doesn't want you to take it off the bed, and you back away. And now that is very reinforcing to the dog. And the dog takes note and says, aggression solves problems, and I like solving problems, I like keeping the bed. And that is an example of self-reinforcing behavior. Your dog reacts to someone or something out on a walk, and that gets reinforced. And even if the reaction from the other part doesn't necessarily happen, the act of your dog reacting is self-reinforcing in of itself. Meaning, very often once we get to the part where the dog is very typical, very predictable in his response, just the act of doing it is self-reinforcing. The dog is getting high, the dog is very much behaving like an addict, and now the dog is just high from doing that, and it's programmed and it's fallen into a pattern. One of the most common misconceptions amongst dog owners is that the dog will eventually grow out of something. And what I try to make clear to people is your dog will never grow out of something. If your dog is truly into what he's doing, he will grow more and more and more into it. Because every time your dog engages in that behavior, it is reinforced yet again. If your dog loves to dig, eventually the holes get bigger and bigger and more frequent. If your dog loves to chase and you let it happen, then that's what happens. If your dog plays the keep away game and you continuously put your dog in a position to do so, that's what happens. So self-reinforcing behaviors happen all the time. And as trainers, if we want to understand how our dogs are influenced, very often we just have to understand that we're not training them to do something. We're just setting up the conditions, rightly or wrongly, good or bad. Depends on what you know and what actions you take. So in the case of the dog I was talking about earlier, Odin, his owners used to play with him with a little laser pointer, like a lot of people do. And you'll see videos of people playing with a laser pointer with their dog. And once in a while, maybe someone does it and there's no negative fallout. But by and large, if the dog likes it and he's attracted to it and it comes from that prey drive, right? That chase, something's moving, gotta catch it. You're not motivating the dog to chase. You're not hyping the dog up to chase. The dog likes to chase. Dogs chase. That's what they do. So the dog now gets high, likes the feeling, the adrenaline of being high, and he's chasing light. And then eventually, you're not playing with him with the laser pointer anymore because you figured out it's not a good thing. Or maybe on that particular day, you're just too busy to play with the laser pointer. And now your dog goes looking for outside sources because he wants to engage in that activity. So there's a little light coming in. And some dogs will get to the point where there's light coming in from the window and the light hits here. And then a couple of hours later, now the sun has moved, so it's over there. The dog will plan his day based on where the light is. That's how important it is to that dog. He's going to structure his day around where's the light going to be at 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 6 o'clock. And now you're not engaging with the dog, and the dog needs that. He's an addict. He's got to fill that need. So he goes looking for the light on his own, and he starts to fixate. Because what do addicts do? I'm high right now. Got to get high again. I'm chewing 3-4 chocolate almonds. I got a fistful ready to go. So the dog now is chasing the light, chasing the shadow. And now it gets even more complicated. You walk by the dog because you're going to the bathroom. And the dog says, you're coming to steal my light. I'm going to bite your foot. I'm going to growl at you. I'm going to chase you away, or I got to get a little more active to get that light. And then you continue going to the bathroom and you go, what a ridiculous dog. Now you've reinforced for the dog that, yeah, getting aggressive, getting more frantic helps you keep what you've got. So there's so many layers now interacting with each other. This is a very, very powerful thing going on in your dog's brain. Now, to further complicate things, when it comes to light and shadow, the dog can't actually get it. It's not the tennis ball. It's not the chocolate almond. It's nothing tangible. So the dog cannot ever truly achieve satisfaction. Therefore, it drives up his frustration. Therefore, it intensifies. And that's what we were seeing with Odin. Now, in the case of Odin, if you get an addict in front of you, you have to know how to replace an addiction with something healthy. So go and watch that video and see what I did with him. I made him a complete addict when it came to playing. And his owners were just wonderful people. I trained the dog. The dog came and stayed with me for training. And then I taught them 3 weeks later what they needed to do. And they were really diligent with him. And they would send me frequent updates and ask questions when they needed a hand. Several months later, I get an email with pictures. Dog's got it. He's a giant pit bull, like head like a pumpkin. He's got this cute pink ball in his mouth. And they say, you know, he's completely addicted to playing ball, playing fetch. And when we take it away, he just kind of shuts down, which is great because some dogs will want more and more and more, but he shuts down, which is nice. And that's what we did. Took the unhealthy addiction, replaced it with healthy. Get rid of your chocolate almonds, Nick, and here's some carrot sticks. Okay. So self-motivating is the potato chip, the chocolate almond, the chase, the marking, the things that come from within, where we don't need a pat on the back, we don't need encouragement, we don't need someone saying, here, do this, try this, would you like to? It's automatic, it's inside the dog, and the dog says, give it to me. So be careful what you allow your dogs to engage in. Be careful what you produce, both in objects and situations for your dogs to engage in, and what you encourage your dogs to engage in, because sometimes they don't even know how much fun something is until we suggest it. So for instance, the laser pointer, the act of chasing is natural and self-reinforcing, and the object presented was the wrong one. Had it been the ball right from the start, I may have never met Odin and his owners, because they might have just been living their life with their dog that, oh my God, he's annoying, he wants to play fetch all day. That's not really a problem. That's not something most dog trainers are going to say, yeah, I got contacted by someone because the dog just wants to play fetch. I've got a separate story about that I'll do in another video, where somebody contacted me for a completely different issue. The dog was a chicken killer. And then while I had the dog in for training, they told me that the dog loved to play fetch, and the trainer told them the dog should never play fetch and should never have access to a tennis ball, which made no sense whatsoever. So we'll come back to that in another video because it kind of deviates from this topic. There's some overlap, but I want to keep it clean and just keep it about this today. And if you haven't had a chance to see Odin's video and his progress, and it's really, it's a fun video, it's a touching video, because you see a dog who just wants to, he's like wind going in every direction. And the minute I started to teach him to play, now all of a sudden it's like I created a corridor for the wind, and I can funnel it and direct it where I want it to go. So if you have any interest in that, and you just want to see a really cute dog just playing with his heart and soul when I'm engaging him, and just so cooperative and obedient for this big bulky pit bull, he's just a great guy. So check him out. I'll leave a link to that down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.